Hi, this is Scott from Fresh Solutions, and in this video, I am going to configure Visual Studio Code. I'm using Copilot, and I'm going to configure X-Analysis MCP server. Before we get started, there's a couple of pieces of information that you're going to need to know and have. So you're going to need to have X-Analysis installed, and you're going to need version 13.601 at least up and running on your IBMI. So one of the ways that you can check for that is to open up a browser, and you can put your IBMI system name or IP address, and then you can use the 13601 port, and you should get a challenge box. And once you've signed in with your username and password, you should be able to access X-Analysis AI in the browser and be able to query your repositories, etc. So if you've gotten this far, then you're going to be good to go sort of with the rest of the process here. If you're not here and this isn't all set up, then this isn't quite the right video, and you can reach out to our technical support for assistance, or log into our customer portal and use our Fresh AI support assistant to ask questions or find some documentation there. So once we've got this set up, you will also need to have a license key for an LLM. I'm using Anthropic, and I've chosen Claude Opus 4.6 for myself. And I'm using the Copilot extension within Visual Studio Code. And that's what we'll be using today. Okay, so once that part is all set up, there's a couple of things that we're going to want to do before we get going with setting up the actual MCP connection. And I'm going to create some environment variables for my credentials for the system that I'm logging into. And I'm going to set those up for my user on this PC, so I don't need to enter those each time. My credentials will be available for each session that I log in. To do that, I'm going to go up and I'm going to open a new terminal session. Let's go terminal and then new. And I'm going to just paste in. I've got the command over here, but I'm just going to paste it in for us. Yeah, there we go. Okay, perfect. Good. And okay, perfect. So this is this is the exact string you're going to paste in. You can get this from the user manual. Now this Scott here is my username on the IBMI, and TESTPWD or test password is my password for this IBMI system. Okay, so now I've got that encoded in this variable here. Now I just need to run this second command to create the environment variable. So in this case, we're going to store that as an environment variable called XA_MCP, and I'm using the system name here because I'm going to have multiple systems that I'm going to connect to. So I'm going to, and they're going to have different passwords on each system. So I'm going to call it XA_MCP ISUP02. I'm going to pass in the encoded username and password, and this user tells it that it's going to store it as under my user profile. So perfect. Now when that's done, so after you set your password as an environment variable, it's a good idea to restart Visual Studio Code to make sure that that environment variable is available. So I'm going to pause the video and I'm going to do that now. Okay, perfect. I'm back. I've restarted my Visual Studio. If you want to check to see if your environment variable is there and ready to go, you can do something along these lines. So I'll move my cursor and you can see that it's ready to go. All right, perfect. So should be done with the terminal for now. Okay, so let's set up this MCP server. So what I'm going to do is I'm now in the Copilot extension. I'm just going to use this gear icon to open up the customizations. You might land on overview if you do, but really you are looking for the MCP servers. So what we're going to do is we're just going to add a new server. In this case, we're adding an HTTP. We're going to connect to a remote server. And this is going to ask you for the URL. So this is pretty close to the URL that we added before. And we're going to call it http:// and then 02. Okay, and then 13601. And now we need to put in the MCP. We don't need capitals. MCP/SSE. That's the URL that we're going to use to connect. So we can just hit enter. When you hit enter, it's going to give you a service ID. This is the human readable. So I'm going to call this XA-MCP-I-SUP02. All right, perfect. Oh, I misspelled it. MCD. Oops. Okay, well, that's fine. Okay, and that is just a setting I have in my settings, which is saying any new server can auto start. Okay, so when I land here, this isn't the complete configuration that we need. You'll notice that it's loading up a file called mcp.json, and then this here is the servers that were the list of servers. You can end up with multiple of these. If this is your first one, it'll look something like this. What I am going to do is to replace what's there with a fully configured server. Okay, so we can see here that I've got my server name and I've got the URL. This is the one that we put in that other box. We've got a timeout setting. Now we've got our basic authorization, and you can see that it's going to be pulling in our environment variable into here. Okay, and we've got our default xref. Okay, so disabled false is going to say, should this server start automatically or not? And the always allow, the asterisk here, what that means is that when you're running an MCP server, if it requests a tool, then this will allow all the tools to be called without being prompted. So you won't have to say yes, yes, yes to any of the tools that are moving. It'll just move through all the different tools. So that should be good. At this point, I should be able to start a server from here. You can see that it says it's running. If you want, you can also go to the gear icon, and now we can see we've got the server here. If you right click on this instance, you can stop the server, or you can start the server, and you can see it's running. Okay, so I'm going to close this window. You're going to see in the output, you're going to see some of the different logging that happens along the way. Okay, so at this point, we've got our server running, and now we should be able to access that server. You could use $XA. And what this does is it gives you some context, and you can select this MCP server, and you can say, show me all the repos. And so this may take a minute. It's going to have to go through the different tools that are available and then make the different calls and bring back our data set. And there you have it. We're getting X-Analysis data through the MCP within Visual Studio Code using the Copilot extension. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, please reach out to technical support. We're here and ready to help. Thank you.